Hi, I'm Gillian Utesch. I am the host of a Superwoman Handbook and the author of A White Collar Wife. A White Collar Wife is my personal story through love, loss, and joy. You can listen to it on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, anywhere you catch your podcast. As I've been sharing my story on A White Collar Wife, y'all have sent in so many messages of support, of alignment, which always breaks my heart that anyone has experienced not only things I've gone through, but anything remotely like what I've gone through. It just breaks my heart. So I appreciate when you reach out and you share. And I get asked a lot of questions that y'all want me to talk about things or unpack more or clarify. And I not to bore you on the podcast, so I can't answer all of them, but I do go into much greater detail in the book. So I don't want you to think that I'm ignoring your questions or your feedback. But one of the biggest things that y'all wanted me to talk about before I went on my vocal rest from my instrument, which still is super weird for me. Um, Y'all wanted me to talk more about the contrast between my marriage and divorce with Josh and my marriage and divorce with. And when I say they were absolutely 180 from each other, they were absolutely 180 from each other. And when I was actually kind of going back through photos and notes and cards, because I keep all like those Hallmark cards that you get for, your birthday and Christmas and things like that. I keep them. I'm going on a tangent. I swore I wouldn't do that anymore, but I'm going on a tangent. I three hole punch them on the side and stack them up like a book, and you can take ribbon and tie ribbon around. So I have just years of y'all, they're like $8 a piece now. Okay. Don't throw those things away. So I went back through cards and it kind of helped to remind me of just where we were in our relationship. But it was also very interesting to see, especially with his handwriting distinctively changed. Yeah, it was interesting. But anyway, so I went back through cards and to kind of help remind me of the different details. And it was like I was reading a story about someone else's life. It didn't even feel like my own at this point. It's been almost a year since I spoke a word or even a message with him. And it feels like yesterday, but also a lifetime ago, a lifetime I didn't even live, a lifetime I just read about. So with Josh, our divorce was slow and brewing, much like how our marriage was. We had a very slow, almost 5-year roll as we dated until we got married. And our divorce was not that slow roll, but it was at least probably 5 months. There was this unspoken acceptance between the two of us that the role had started. And it wasn't anger, it was mourning. We were both sad that it was ending because we wanted it to stay together. We'd built a life. Our families were intertwined. We had our traditions. We had, the things that we would do, go to karaoke and he would, hurt everyone's ears with his attempt at singing. We just had our things that we would do and the thought that we were going to willingly walk away from those things was very sad for both of us. But we also knew that we wanted to, we needed to. Looking back, what in the hell was I thinking? Why did no one who am I kidding? Many of my friends did come to me and say, girl, why are you divorcing this guy? He is super sweet. He takes great care of you. What the hell? But anyway, so we then started really talking about it. Maybe 2 months after the silent acceptance of the role, we started really talking about it. And it wasn't so much, again, there was no anger, there was no blame or finger pointing. It was just kind of what I call meat and potatoes. Okay, do we want to keep the house or sell the house? I don't know. How do you feel about it? Okay, well, where are you with your job? And how do you feel about the China set? We just kind of started talking about those things so that we could both kind of figure out our next step. But we were still living together. We were still in the house. We were still in the bed. We were still sleeping in the same bed. I think we were still having sex because the boy was good in bed. That's what I'm saying. What was I thinking? Like, really, y'all, please, can I get a rewind? Like, and go back to that chapter and just pump the brakes a bit. But so, yeah, we were still living together. There was no hostility. And I'm pretty sure we were still having sex because, yeah, that happened a lot. I'm still getting used to my new voice, y'all, and having to drink tea. I'm not a tea drinker. I drink coffee black like my heart. So here we are. But okay. It wasn't until probably the very last phase, the last, month to 3 weeks. We literally wrote our divorce out on a napkin, which was funny because we signed our marriage certificate on a bar. It had a one of his groomsmen set his glass on top of it and it left a bourbon ring, which I thought was hysterical. You go to the Register of Deeds and, you look at a marriage certificate. I can just see some archaeologist or not that anyone would care, but when they want to look through the 94 marriages of Gillian and they pull up that marriage certificate or license, that they're going to see that bourbon ring. But anyway, so it just seemed very fitting that we did it on a napkin and we drew a little T, him and me, and he got the hunting truck, I got the hunting dog. He got the big vacuum, I got the little battery vacuum. He got the I mean, we just laid it out and it was too difficult. I don't like attorneys. I don't like conflict. I don't like anything of that nature that I've talked about before. And Josh very kindly went to the attorney and filled out all the paperwork for us. So I didn't even have to do that part of it. Basically, we were just formalizing and memorializing what we had, written out on our napkin. And we signed it and submitted it and, everything was done. Like, I mean, I think it maybe cost $100. Okay, probably it cost more than $100. But I mean, it was just from a financial perspective, it was virtually free. From an emotional perspective for me as to it's hard to say, or it's horrible to say that your marriage had no emotional impact on you because it did. But it was a blip on the radar compared to the emotional, just shit show is the only word. And I wish I could be more articulate about it. That has been my divorce with. I am glad that I married after Josh because if I had gone through a divorce like I did with him at a younger age, with less life experience, with less just life under my belt, I would have absolutely broke. He would have broke me. He would have 100% won the trophy, been able to wear the ribbon that he broke a human because it has been that difficult for me. And so I'm grateful in that regard that life honed me up until that point. So back to Josh. Okay. So the last night, so we kind of get through the legal people stuff. And the last night that we're in the house, we were kind of just sorting through the most valuable things that we didn't want the movers to take and that we were putting in our car. So we had a bunch of wine left from our wine trips. And then you always save the most expensive bottles of wine for a special occasion. And we never had, or we had many of those bottles because there had not been occasions we deemed special enough. I'm sorry, occasion, you don't qualify as a special occasion enough for this bottle of wine. And so he came in the kitchen and he's like, "Hey, we should drink this bottle of wine. Like it's now or never." And I can see it every time I start to talk about it. It just um he goes to the refrigerator and pulls out kind of the makings of charcuterie and starts just making up charcuterie on a cutting board. And I remember in that moment, I was like, what am I doing? Like, why am I divorcing someone who is literally cutting cheese and making charcuterie for me? Um, Cool, I got through it without crying at this time. Okay, cool. Okay, so we drank wine and we danced around to James Taylor and we slept in the bed that our bed, and he just held me, just like baby spoon. Just it was so reminiscent and a bookend for the first night that we'd had together because the first night that we had together way back when I wasn't even old enough to drink, he's did the same thing. He didn't try to have sex with me that night. We just, because we both were drunk. And so he just snuggled me in the bed and was such a gentleman. And so our marriage ended very calmly, very civilly, with a lot of respect for each other and for the relationship that we'd had. And I don't think I truly appreciated how unique that was, how rare that was, and how valuable to my life journey it was to have that end in such a positive and respectful way. When I was getting ready to marry, a lot of my friends commented how vanilla he was. And I don't mean skin color, y'all. I mean just in his demeanor, in his personality, in his, I don't want to say his character, but just in how he was, who he was. And I mean, he hadn't lived a life full of stories like I had, let's say that. And so it just, I think, seemed odd to a lot of folks in my circle that I would connect with someone so vanilla. But again, it worked for a lot of reasons. You know, I talk about he is hot as hell. And he looked really good to the eyes. He looked good on paper, and he had a daughter. So I mean, he checked all the boxes for me. I was willing to take vanilla, and you know, quite honestly, I'd had pretty much a rocky road with the relationship in between Josh and so I was happy to have kind of a calm sea. But I specifically remember telling my parents when they brought it up that I said, "Hey, I'm glad because I know what I'm getting. I'm getting someone who is vanilla. That means he's not going to do anything crazy. He's not going to do anything, he's not, i.e., everything that has happened in my life for the last year is what I thought I was securing by getting with a vanilla person. So that's another reason why it's just been such a shock. The choices, behavior, actions, because it's like, dude, you're vanilla. Why are you acting like this? This is not your part in the play. This is not how you're supposed to be. What's going on? Like you're at the wrong dress rehearsal. So it was extremely volatile. It was extremely vengeful. It became obvious that his goal was not to save time. It was not to save money. It was not to reduce collateral damage. It was to do everything possible to hurt me, make it take as long as it could, make it as emotionally draining as it could, drag in as many people from my family as he possibly could. Y'all, I won't tell you all of them because it's just too much. My brother, half brother, anyway, saga family, but that haven't really seen. His wife, who I really haven't seen, called her. I'm like, Bish, what? Why are you calling her? You've never met her. I hardly know her. How'd you even get her phone number? I don't think I even have her phone number. And spreading the tea and causing drama. Y'all, I mean, shit like that. Okay. Just like completely off the radar things that vanilla was not supposed to be doing. That was not on the bingo card. And then as we progressed through, it just heightened and heightened. And I realized that he was not going to stop. Josh stopped when the time came. I mean, when the house was clear and we had done the paperwork and we drank the last bottle of wine and it was time to go. He stopped. There was no further assault. Moved out a year ago in a very non-vanilla way as well. I mean, when the stormtroopers came and he has just continued. So that should have been a stop. Like we do the paperwork, we go our separate ways. Like what the what, dude? And so it's just become obvious that it is a mission of revenge. It is a absolutely meditated adventure for him is the only way I can describe it. So kind of like Josh, our relationship is sadly ending like it started. It started in a very hostile way with his ex, with baby mama, and with mom when she chest bumped me in the driveway. Yes, y'all, I'm telling you, I can't make this shit up. It's that crazy. That should have been a sign to me then, which is why I'm going to get better at like record keeping moving forward so that I can, keep better track of these signs. If your future mother-in-law chest bumps you in the driveway, this may not be a healthy relationship. So it starts off very volatile and it ended very volatile. So that's a little bit more detail of my life and divorce with and Josh.